Hello and welcome to today's webinar from Inspiring Workplaces. It's our first one of the year. It's not our first event. We had one in London, Inspire London, and also have started our interactive Thrive Thursday sessions. The first one was a big hit. We've got 5 more of them to run over the course of next year, or this year even. And the next one is March the 13th, 2025. Although it's our first online event of the year. I mean, I don't know about you, but it feels like it's been a crazy year already. Only 2 months already gone, essentially. A lot going on with socioeconomic issues, technology going at a very, very rapid pace in its involvement and how we use it in and out of the workplace. So we're putting on an event now just to kind of take a pause and reflect on some of the new changes that are coming. And to reflect a bit as well. So I hope the year has started well. If you've entered our Inspiring Workplaces Awards, good luck. The extended deadline closes in about 8 hours time in America. And the finalists will be announced in mid-March, with winners appearing in May, June and July around the world. So good luck to all those organizations that have entered or are about to enter. But back to our first webinar of 2025 and its title, Today's Top 100 Trending Skills and How They Impact Your Business. With dramatic shifts in the skills landscape this year, it's crucial to understand which capabilities will give your organization a competitive edge. As pioneers in skills intelligence, our partner, a long-time partner, Fuel 50, has analyzed data across its global user base and external market trends to identify the most in-demand skills shaping the future of work in 2025. So from today's webinar, please leverage these insights to evaluate your own organization's current skills and talent, what you need to be successful, do you currently have, and how will you fill the gap. Apologies for my voice. It's a good job that I'm only doing a quick brief intro. I've had every cold and flu thing you can possibly imagine the first 8 weeks of this year, and I'm just hopefully this is the last bit of that. To take us through this webinar and all the insights is the amazing Christine Duplessis, Head of Value and Skills Strategy at Fuel 50. Christine is an industrial organizational psychologist and specialist in skills strategies with over 20 years of professional experience. Combining expertise in psychology and organizational science, Christine and her team deliver impactful solutions to enhance individual and organizational success. So without further ado, please welcome Christine.
Hello, Matt.
Hey, how are you?
Feeling better. Well, thank you. How are you?
I'm feeling so much better. I'm not sure I sound much better, but I feel fantastic.
You look more lively and energetic, which is amazing to see.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here. Without further ado, I'm going to hand over to you to take us through your insights.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Welcome, everyone. And as Matt had said, my name is Christine Duplessis. Thank you so much for joining today's session. I know in today's hustle and bustle, and it's like Matt has said, the first 2 months already feels like a full year. It's really hard to carve out an extra hour to attend a webinar, but I really hope you find today insightful. I really hope you walk away from this webinar today and think, wow, I've really learned something and I can go apply it to my business directly. So I'm really excited to be hosting you today. I am based in South Africa and I will be representing Fuel 50. So Fuel 50 is a global tech organization. So we've got employees scattered across the globe, with my team specifically in South Africa. As Matt has mentioned, I'm an industrial organizational psychologist. I've worked with Fuel 50 now for just over 5 years. It feels like 6 months. The world and work just changes so rapidly. It's been incredibly exciting, the journey with Fuel 50. Prior to joining Fuel 50, I've also worked in the talent management space. So probably similar to many of the positions that all of you folk on this call are holding today as well. So big background in human resources, talent management, now really kind of deep diving and specializing within skills and skills strategies. If you know anything about Fuel 50, you'll know that we are a multi-solution organization. So we've got a talent marketplace solution as well as a skills intelligence solution. Both of those heavily are driven by skills. So the organization itself, our platforms, as well as our team are really, really deep into skills. Now, skills feels like a buzzword at this point in time. It's kind of really gotten hot in the last year or two, but it's really been an evolution. Those of you that have been around as long as it's come from knowledge, skills, attribute frameworks, so your typical KSAs. We've moved into your competency frameworks, and now we've just evolved into skills frameworks as well. So today we'll be highlighting a good couple of these skills. We have done a report. We do this annually. We look at all of the kind of ratings across our client base, and we look at the top 100 skills and kind of share the learnings from that. This is one of the reports that our team look forward to every year to really kind of see what is really happening and compared against other reports as well to see whether our data is tracking across what we see. So in terms of an agenda for today, I will be sharing with you what is the hot skills list. So just a little bit of background and history on the hot skills list. We're going to be looking at the top 5 skills. So out of the 100, what was the top 5? Then we're also going to be looking at overall rising skills. So what was really trending in terms of certain buckets and the themes that we were seeing. We're also going to be looking at declining skills. We're probably going to talk quite a bit about the impact of AI. We all know that's super hot at this point in time and really want to kind of show you how it's shaping and shifting the skills landscape. Next, we're going to be talking about predictions for 2025. So we're going to look a little bit into a crystal ball. It might not be 100% accurate. Things can change dramatically as we've seen with COVID. But we are going to give a prediction of what we see and what we think are going to happen in the future in terms of trending skills. And then lastly, we're hopefully going to have plenty of time for Q&A. I am also going to pause kind of midway also for some questions and comments. But please do feel free to add any questions and comments in the chat. My lovely colleagues will be able to support you there as well. And then when we pause in the middle, I'll also then be able to take any of those questions that are burning or that has not been answered, or just have a general discussion on anything that's been kind of added in the Slack or in the chat. So feel free to engage. I'm hoping this is not going to be a 30 to 45-minute monologue. I'm happy to kind of interject at certain points and then kind of just have a conversation around what has been discussed to this point. Okay, so to get us started, the hot skills list has really kind of started within Field 50 at around 2021. So we wanted to start tracking our own user base to really see what skills have been emerging, trending, what has been really, really hot, what have the most users been rating, etc. So like most of you, we are reading all of those reports coming out every year, World Economic Forum, Gartner, McKinsey, all of those reports. And we wanted to see if our data reflects that. And of course, it does. So we started writing this report and putting it out every year, just to make sure that Field 50 also has a perspective out there in terms of what are the hottest skills that we see across our client base. Our client base typically has got the largest footprint in banking, finance, technology, healthcare, and pharma. So when we do share the report with you, you'll see plenty of those skills being represented. There are lots of generic skills as well that will apply to any organization. So don't fear if you don't sit within any of those industries. You don't need to hop off the call. You will certainly still learn something today. But those are just the most kind of largest represented industries within the Field 50 client database. Our list is also slightly unique. Most of the lists and the reports out there focus purely on technical skills. We also include our capabilities, how we refer to it. You can see those as your soft skills or behavioral skills. So we reflect on both. So the top 100 has 80 technical skills and then 20 behavioral skills or capabilities. So we've been able to kind of categorize it that way. As we all know, the human skills are so critically important at this point in time. So we wanted to elevate those as well and kind of show what has been trending. So before I continue with my conversation and kind of sharing more slides, etc., I really wanted to pause at this point in time before I go into sharing what Field 50's perspective and data is showing in terms of emerging trends, and really ask the audience, what do you think was the hottest skill of 2024? So if you had to think and just identify one, you probably have 5 or 10 already on top of mind. what would be that one that you think was the hottest skill for 2024? And you can please add those in the comments. I'll call out a few and have a bit of a discussion around that before we then continue into that specific topic. But please feel free to share any of your thoughts and ideas in the comments. There's no right or wrong. The list has got 100, so I'm sure whatever you're going to guess is actually on the list. It might just not be on the top 5, but please feel free to share any thoughts and comments. Looking forward to some engagement here. Any first takers? And Amy, are we sure we are live? There we go. Thank you. Communication, definitely very, very critical, very important. And I'm going to share where that comes in.
I think people are being a bit shy, so I think we should move on and into the list, and then we can come back to the comms later.
Definitely. Perfect. So let's take a look at what was Fuel 50's top 5 skills. Let me just navigate back to my slides. So in terms of our top 100, now remember this is based on our client base, so our user ratings across all of our clients. These were the top 5 skills that emerged that took place 1 to 5. Now, when you look at those, you might not have kind of guessed those or wanted to add them to the chat or did not feel that you've got the right nomenclature to kind of articulate what these ones are. But these were the top 5 that came out of our client base. Now, when you look at them, they might be pretty straightforward and you probably have an aha moment thinking, yes, these are the top 5 that I probably would have guessed as well. And you also might be thinking that there's probably a couple of missing ones as well. So we're going to share a lot more skills. This right now is just reflecting on the top 5. So if we think about these ones, if you think for a moment about product knowledge, the world is incredibly competitive right now. Everyone is fighting for their little piece of the pie in terms of their market share. Your team's product knowledge has never been more important than right now. It's really critical that your sales individuals, your customer-facing individuals knows exactly what your product or your service is. And they have an ability to share that articulately and very briefly with anyone that they engage with. But we also know that customers now have different expectations. They expect things to be more tailored, more personalized. So it's really important that you know that within the knowledge of your product and what the product can and can't do, how can you customize, how can you personalize an experience for one of your clients? And it goes beyond just your kind of client-facing team members. It really goes as deep as your entire organization. Everyone needs to understand what you're selling, why you're selling it, what problem is it solving, what's in it for them in terms of the clients. So product knowledge is really one of those key skills that's been driven by all of our clients specifically. The next one was cross-functional collaboration. Now we know the world of work has changed significantly in the last 5 years. We don't even have to kind of think about that anymore. But matrix organizations are becoming more and more common. Hybrid work environments are more common now than ever before. So it's becoming more and more challenging for teams to really collaborate. Just yesterday, we had a conversation where we thought if we were all sitting in the same office today, we would have solved this problem much faster. But now we're scattered across the globe and it took us a little bit longer to solve the problem. So those are things that you as an organization and your talent management professionals need to consider. How do you help your team members being able to cross-functionally collaborate really effectively, really efficiently, as if they would have been in the same environment right now? So it's really important to make sure that you enable them, that they've got the correct tools, that they know the procedures for how they engage and how they support and how things are not becoming isolated. So cross-functional collaboration is one of those key skills that most of our customers are driving at the moment too. Customer service. We're going to be talking a lot about customer service today. This is one that came through really strong in the Hot 100. We know that every touch point that you have with a customer is critically important. We have so many different ways of engaging with clients, a lot of those now being AI moments as well. But it's really important that every touch point that you have with a client or that your team members have with your client is the best experience that they can possibly have. Customer service at the end of the day drives retention or loses you, your client. So really understand what you're standing for as an organization, what your organizational values are, and how you bring that out in terms of your customer service and how you help your clients navigate through any interactions with yourself. And customer service is typically most of the use skills that we see across clients' skill to role mapping. That's most of the times one of the first skills that ask us to include when we map all of these skills to their roles, like customer service needs to be there, strong and dominant. So it's good to see that the users are feeling the same and they're also rating that critical skill. Data analysis. We know the times have changed. I really don't even know how we did business 30, 40 years ago without the insights that we have at the tip of our fingers right now. But data-driven decision-making has become very, very common. It's something that's not just happening on leadership levels anymore. It's across your organization. The ability to understand data, to analyze the data, to interpret it, and to communicate this kind of stories that are telling you and the information that it's, or the lessons that it's teaching you as well. So data analysis is another skill that's so critical, that's coming through very strongly. Being able to inform decisions, being able to make sure that you've got the right information, really good and clean data that's going to inform you making a decision as you move forward. And then the last one from the top 5 is continuous improvement. Right now, status quo is just not the best thing. Right now, things are just shifting and shaping so dramatically. And it's been important for every single organization, as they think how they remain competitive, to really think how should they be changing their processes, their procedures, their teams, their skills, the technologies that they use. How can things be done different, smarter, not really kind of squeezing more out of your employees, but really enabling them to do more with less. So it's really important to constantly reflect, to constantly change. With that, we obviously see change fatigue as well. So we'll talk a little bit about talent management support later on today as well. But it's really important that continuous improvement is really a top priority across your organization. How can every single team member play towards that? How can they do their jobs differently, smarter, free up some of their time so they can take on something more critical, more important? So those were the top 5 skills. We're going to dive into a little bit more of the general themes in the top 100. But I hope this has given you something to ponder about, some food for thought. I hope you have written down these 5 or have a really good memory and will recall them afterwards. But have a little bit of a reflection after today. Are these important to your organization? And if not, why not? And if they are important to your organization, how well are you doing in this space? What is your skills gap within this space? Do you even know which of your employees have these skills? Where do they sit? And the ones that don't have these skills and aren't driving and developing towards it, what can be done about it? And across all of the skills that we shared today, these are really the top 5 I would kind of write down, I would focus on, and I would see how they apply to you in your specific organizations. Good. So what we've also done is we kind of identified a couple of themes in terms of skills, we call them skills clusters. So what came out of the top 100, it's quite similar to what I've just explained on the previous slide with a little bit of a couple of additions to this one as well. So you can see customer service, there were so many skills on the Hot 100 list that related to customer service, which really means that all of our users across our client base is really kind of driving the same value in terms of our customers are our number 1 priority. And there's so many different ways and different skills that relate to us being able to give a really, really good service to our clients. The one about continuous improvement, we've kind of clustered together as business improvement skills, process optimization, continuous improvement, agile methodologies, that constant change, that constant reflection, making sure that your team understands where they need to go, how they can do their jobs better and faster. So that ongoing constant change as well. So those business improvement skills have just become so critical. And across our users, we can see that they're really taking it seriously to understand how they can do things slightly differently. Then at the bottom, we've got, you probably would have thought on the previous slide, I would have shared something a little bit more. We've spoken about data skills, but we haven't yet spoken about AI or technical skills. But of course, one of the main themes within the top 100 was information technology and the skills related to that. We know AI is playing a big role. AI is shifting the world of work like never before. So we've seen a lot of these skills are really starting to kind of surface within the top 100. Emerging technologies, technology acquisition, software development and management, digital fluency, digital strategy, and digital transformation. And as digital transformation continues to embed itself in the workplace of world or the world of work, it's going to be critical to help your employees adapt to what this means for them. I read a beautiful quote a little while back, and sadly I could never find it again, and I also don't know who wrote it. But the quote said, AI will not take your job, but someone that understands AI will take your job. Now, that's probably a little bit of overgeneralization because AI is replacing some jobs. But if we just go with a kind of generic statement, AI will not take your job. Someone that understands AI will take your job. And it really kind of hit home for me. It's that partnership between humans and machine. You must have heard the term of human-machine teaming. At Field 50, we call it our AI-HI collaboration, so artificial intelligence and human intelligence. But it's really making sure that your organization knows how to incorporate technology into the world of work. What skills can be taken or be done by technology that can be done by different tools, by AI or by automation? How can you remove mundane tasks from someone's plate and someone's role? And how can you replace it with a tool that's going to help them be more effective, more productive, and really help your organization kind of leverage the tools, but also accept them, use them to their advantage and to not feel threatened. And that's really the important task of human resources or talent management, to really incorporate that into your organization as wisely as possible. And it doesn't mean AI needs to replace everything and AI needs to be incorporated in anything. At Field 50, we say we use AI selectively, and we really use it very selectively. We bring it into our platform very selectively. We're very strategic of where we use it. The same within our own internal processes and procedures. We're very, very descriptive in terms of where we use it, what tasks we are going to let it kind of replace, and what part the humans still play within that. AI will never be able to replace your cognitive skills, no matter how smart the models come. I am not worried about that. I'm not worried about the AI revolution and the robots taking over. You might still be, but I've really kind of dug deep into the human skills, and we've read a lot about what AI can and can't do. And yes, it's incredibly smart and it's evolving, and we will see where it will go. And maybe I've proven wrong. But I think what we've seen is that these human capabilities, and you can see to the top right, have just become so increasingly important. Problem solving, I mean, that is critical. Communicating effectively, customer centricity, coaching, critical thinking, analytical reasoning. To some extent, yes, AI can replicate that, but not to the speed and the complexity that a human can. It doesn't have the expertise. It doesn't have the experience. It's learning. Every day is a new thing for AI. So it's really important to think about these things and to think about the capabilities, the human skills, as you think about digitizing your organization, as you think about bringing in AI, as you think about leveraging different tools. What human capabilities are also critically important to you? How are you going to identify those? How are you going to make sure that your teams are developing those skills to make sure that those cognitive skills are really, really your strong differentiator in the market? You might have really, really cool AI capabilities, but you fail on the human interaction front. That's not going to keep you competitive. So it's really important to balance these out. Always focus on your capabilities, your behavioral skills, in addition to your technical skills. So as we can see here, it's really moving towards a mix of human interaction and technical skills. I don't believe that AI will replace humans. As you can see, I've got a strong devotion towards that statement, but it's really important within your organization. A lot of things might need to be automated. You might need to bring in a lot of technology. Your industry specifically might be shifting quite a lot. Some industries are not shifting as fast. But it's really important to kind of, from your perspective, reflect on this and see how do you make sure that that collaboration becomes stronger, and how do you ensure that human centricity still remains as well. That was the increased skills. So I'll pause a second just here and see if we've got any thoughts or comments on this. if the crowd is still quiet, I can continue. Let me have a quick look at some of the comments. Artificial intelligence, Kelly, yeah, it's coming through strongly. It's coming through strongly in terms of the top 100. It has not yet made its top 5. We do think that certain skills like prompt engineering and those kind of more specific AI skills are probably going to be in the next year's top 10 or even top 20. Data, Ralph, as you've mentioned, I've spoken about that today. Data is so critical. Automation, AI engineering. We'll talk a little bit now about what we're not seeing or what's declining. But the interesting thing is, as much as what we know, how important the AI skills are, certain things relating to, for example, prompt engineering, AI auditing, AI project management has not yet come through as strongly as what we anticipated for this year. So we think that's going to come through strong a little bit more next year. But it just means that as much as there's a drive for it, there hasn't really been that much user engagement with those skills. So it means that users aren't necessarily developing those skills yet. So it's also a good takeaway for today to make sure that those skills is really a top priority for your organization in terms of identifying and developing. Good. And thank you for acknowledging that you've really got some good food for thought, Ralph. Really appreciate it. Okay. So now we're going to look at some of the declining skills. Please don't have a fright when you have a look at this slide. When I had this presentation before, someone immediately kind of jumped up high and said, leadership can't be here. And I wholeheartedly agree, but I'll explain to you now why it should not be here. But these are just skills that within our Hot 100 has dropped either a good couple of places or has completely exited from that list. It doesn't mean that these skills no longer exist. It doesn't mean that these skills are no longer important to certain organizations. It just means within our client base that additional skills or other skills have taken their place, have kind of moved up in terms of priority. And we've spoken about what those ones are: customer service, technology, data, etc. A lot of this also stems from functional areas being transformed quite dramatically. It doesn't mean that the functions are falling away. It doesn't mean that the roles are falling away or even the skills needed. It just means that the tasks are being done in a different way. So it brings us back to the previous conversation around automation and AIification, but it's that critical element and that balance of skills augmentation. What should be done by a machine and what should be done by a human? And we've seen the biggest shift in terms of R&D, creative, as well as risk, in terms of our client base specifically having adopted different ways of doing these tasks and fulfilling these functions within their organizations. So it was quite interesting, specifically R&D, but if you chat GPT a little bit to kind of see what has been the automations in R&D, it's staggering, it's amazing, and we can understand why it's been evolving so much in the last couple of years. So that's really all about skills augmentation, really making sure that you really know how these functions in your business are impacted. How do you support the individuals within these functions? Some of these functional areas are experiencing more change, which means these individuals need to rapidly upskill or reskill or even new skill. And that's challenging and it's also daunting and scary. So it's so important to have your kind of arms wrapped around this so tightly. It's good to focus on your training skills and what's going to drive success for your business. But it's equally important to look after the individuals within your areas that's impacted the most by technology. How do you support them? How are you going to leverage the most from the other skills that they have? How are you going to change their jobs? How are they going to kind of fit somewhere else within your organization? And we always say that the biggest gift that they can give your leadership is skills visibility. It's really important that you help your organization identify critical skills and also help your organization with skills that are kind of moving away, that's not as critical. But how do you leverage the rest of the skills that these individuals bring to your organization? Because everyone is coming with a skill set that is so wide and so broad, and you're probably just tapping into 10% of that. And that's one of the wonderful benefits of a talent marketplace, because you can see your individual and all of its skills and everything that they bring to the organization. But skills visibility is so important for success, for businesses to thrive and to gain market share. So what are the skills needed? What are the skills that kind of are shifting and changing? And how does your employees stack up against that? What is your skills gap? If you can share that clearly with your leadership, I'm sure you're going to get a promotion soon too. So it's really important to kind of leverage this and make sure you can internalize this and take it forward in your own businesses. I've mentioned that leadership should not be here. For me, it was quite sad to see it. Now, leadership, like many other functions, are changing. It doesn't mean that leadership is no longer important. If you think about leadership, some organizational structures are also changing. It's becoming flatter. So we don't typically have all of those heavy leadership levels anymore. That's obviously a general statement. It's not the same for all organizations and industries. But also, you would have seen on the previous slide that coaching is increasing, which is a wonderful thing to see, that one-on-one individual connection is critical. It's important. And that's one of the key leadership skills we've always known to be a typical skill in terms of leadership. So what we kind of want to say here is leadership is just shaping and forming like the rest of functional areas. But it's important to be across that. Your leadership does make or break your organization. It is going to help you achieve your goals or not going to help you achieve your goals. So as HR practitioners, it's really important to be across what does leadership mean in your organization. Most of you probably have leadership development programs. Are those tied to skills? Are those tied to critical skills? Are they just based on old models stemming from KSAs and someone said this is what a leader looks like and we still have the same model? Please go have a look. Please refresh. Please make sure that what leadership means within your organization is clearly defined. You can attach skills to that. You can measure the gap against that. And you can really show your organization that, hey, we've got a problem. We need to move forward, or we need to shift and change, or we need to really invest here. Again, that skills visibility just on that layer specifically is instrumental for your organization to be successful. So just to the summary to the right, again, the data is suggesting that organizations are moving away from traditional, repetitive, mundane tasks and applying AI purposely. So I've mentioned before that we are very selective where within Fuel 50 we bring in AI. We also have, for most of the AI that we use within our team specifically as well, there's also still that human validation. So as things are changing and as these functional areas are changing and as I start to leverage more AI and more automation, really make sure that it's done in a meaningful way and that you bring your team along, that they don't feel threatened and that they really can see how they can apply themselves better, differently for the benefit of their own specific team, but also for your organization as a whole. Good. I am on my last slide. So if you are getting a little bit antsy, just bear with me for a couple more minutes and then we'll open for some conversation. So what Fuel 50 is predicting, and most of the other kind of vendors out there, as well as the consulting houses, Gartner, McKinsey, etc., much of the same, to be honest, much of the same of 2024. We just think that these are going to get deeper and deeper embedded and more critical and more meaningful across organizations. So we don't anticipate a massive shift in the introduction of new skills. And maybe we're proven wrong. Maybe something wild happens out there. You never know. And something new gets introduced. But right now, this is the general sense of what is going to happen, what is going to be the critical focus moving forward. We've spoken a lot, or myself, about AI and the adoption of it. But what we want to see next year really is the users' adoption of these skills. Are they targeting these skills for development? Are they targeting these skills for mentorships, for gigs, etc.? We haven't seen a massive uptake in terms of user ratings for AI project management, AI governance, AI auditing. And that is critical as we kind of adopt more and more AI into our businesses. Information technology, we all know cyber attacks is on the rise. It will continue to be on the rise. So your cybersecurity skills, cloud computing skills are going to be critical for information technology teams. It's really going to be important to make sure you don't have a big skills gap there, that you can really close the gap there, and that you've got the critical skills that's going to protect and safeguard your organization as we go into this ongoing digital transformation area. Interpersonal skills, so coming back to those human skills, the world is changing. The world of work is constantly changing. I've mentioned the word already of change fatigue. Employees are battling. There's a lot happening. Things are changing so rapidly. Today I'm focusing on these 5 skills, and tomorrow you're telling me I need to focus on those 5 skills. There's a lot. We need to show empathy, kindness, and support and guidance, but also expect from our employees to show versatility, agility, being able to make decisions on their feet, being able to adapt really, really quickly. Those are going to be the employees that's going to succeed. The employees that's going to adopt and accept working alongside AI and automation are going to be the employees that's going to thrive. And the sooner you identify those and the sooner you support them, the better for your organization and succession. And then lastly, for talent management, we all know valuing diversity is a critical skill. The different workforces that we have within our organizations, how you manage them, how you work with them, and now you're also throwing AI into the mix. Team well-being, as I've mentioned, change management is not on here, but it should be. Helping your organization navigate through all of this change, making sure that your team is okay as you kind of navigate through this change, making sure you've got plans in place to really make sure you kind of keep track of every single individual, no matter how large your organization is. Growth mindset, kind of really going to drive that theme within your organization that we're all learning together, we're all growing together, we're all becoming better together. It's not just an overnight thing, it's an ongoing thing. And then lastly, and this one I can't speak about enough, internal mobility. You've got a wealth of skills in your organization. I'm pretty sure you only know about 10% of that. And that is looking at the person in front of you and you're kind of putting 2 or 3 top skills in front of them. But you don't know what else the individual is bringing. You might have some sort of an Excel model. You might have no model. But it's really important that you know and understand the skills in your organization. And as the functions, the functional areas change, and as you identify skills needs, look within your own organization. We all know the benefit and the value of recruiting and hiring from within. The cost savings is just staggering, but also that commitment that you get from that employee if you promote or move from within. So really make a kind of concerted effort to understand your internal skills, to understand the gap, to understand where your organization is going, and to understand how you can move people around to support your organization as you go into the future. And then hopefully accept or achieve your business successes and even kind of really gain more and more market share. So this has been a summary of our predictions. This has also been my last slide. So just to recap, I've shared with you the top 5 skills. I've shared with you kind of clusters of emerging skills. We've also looked at some of the declining skills, and we've looked now a little bit at predictions for 2025. As I've mentioned, this is based on our data. You might be seeing something different. I'll be happy to hear that, and I'll be happy to kind of engage in conversation around what you are seeing within your own organization and what has been really important for you to drive, and what challenges have you had in terms of finding these skills, identifying these skills within your organization. So with that would be the end of my monologue. I'll be happy to take some questions, comments from the chat now. I don't know how, and if you can come off mute if possible or not, otherwise just plonk it in the chat for us.
Thank you so much. And yeah, please do add your questions into the comments and we'll get to them because we'd rather listen to your questions than whatever I'm about to come up with. That was fantastic. Thank you very much, Christine. I mean, there's so much to unpack there, so I'll probably try and take it from a slightly biased approach, being Inspiring Workplaces, trying to recognize people-first organizations, the whole impact of AI, even though it's like almost ubiquitous, isn't it? You talk about AI, but it's just in everything almost, so it's where to find it. I guess, having known Fuel 50 for a long time as well, you ended on internal mobility and to try to understand the skills within your organization as the needs evolve, that people might be there already to find them. So I thought that was a really important point to finish on. But 2 kind of quick questions or observations, really. Is the pace of change as fast as it seems, or is there just much more information making it seem like the pace of change is faster than what we've seen before?
The latter. Definitely the latter. It's more, in my opinion, a perception thing. There's a lot more information out there. There's a lot more information being shared with us. Business will always evolve. Business is always going to evolve at a rapid pace. I don't think necessarily it's faster at this point in time. We've seen in our own organization, it takes slow to really decide what parts of the business are you going to AIify, what are you going to bring into the business, what tools need to be playing a better part within the task that someone are performing. So it takes a while. It feels like it's a lot coming at us right now, but HR practitioners have always dealt with change. What is the world outside us kind of reflecting at this point in time? what does it mean for us as an organization? So the kind of internalization of the changes in the world around you, and how do you adapt to that? So I don't think it's necessarily more than before. I think there's more information, there's more being shared, there's more webinars like this making people aware of changes, etc. AI is just the kind of new thing right now, but before there's been many other trends and themes and things. So in my humble opinion, I think it's just it's still kind of at the same pace. It's just perceived more because obviously there's a lot of more information available.
So same principles apply then to take measured decisions. Don't change too quickly, because I think most people on this webinar and watching on demand would think that their scarcest resource is time. They might have budget, but the time to go implement something, and they want their people to come along with them on the change that they go through is vital. Otherwise it doesn't go anywhere. We have a question that's come in from Isaac Pace. So let's get to Isaac's question. Can you see that, Christine?
Yeah. How do you see the landscape evolving with a more tech savvy but less customer service focused Gen Z entering the workforce? So good question.
Good question.
As I've mentioned earlier, AI won't take your job, but someone that understands AI will likely take your job. And as much as we are sometimes fearing the new generations, they also bring a different element and spark that's probably sometimes quite important and necessary. So I do think that's critically important, and they've got a new perspective, and they also have skills that we don't have. We don't easily adapt to new technology, or I'll speak about my generation and you can decide which generation I'm from. But some of our generations take a little bit longer. We set in our ways, and Gen Zs are typically not set in their ways. They really adapt much faster. Now, as a business, your imperative is still customer service, and the Gen Z is going to have to fit into that mold. It's going to be really, really important that they do understand internally they can be efficient, but externally and client-facing, it's going to be critically important for them to adopt customer service, to really make sure that customer centricity is the name of the game at the end of the day as well. You can't have one without the other. It's going to be critically important for success within your organization. So the development relating to those areas, if you see that specifically within an employee, that is a gap, it's going to be important to identify that, to chat with that individual, to make sure that's something that they are focusing on. It's not going to suit you good to just have the one, so just have the tech savviness and not have the customer centricity. Both are going to be equally important as you navigate the future.
Fantastic. Any more questions, please do put them in. I kind of disagree with you with regards to the future of the robots, but that's something I hope I'm very much wrong on. I guess one of the other key skills you talk about with regards to talent management in that grouping, and especially this is something that we focus on as well, is just kind of the human skills around the development of these hot skills. Empathy being one of them. I'm going to say my wife, because I don't think her company are on this webinar. She got taken through some training the other day, and it was positioned as, look how great this is, and it'll free up your time, and this will do this, and this will do that. She was just going, well, this is doing my job, and it wasn't meant to be like that, but it landed exact in her head. Well, this is doing my job. How can businesses try and, I know this might be an easy question, but how do businesses go about navigation of change with these skills and the different skills that are coming in now?
I think it's always important to take the team specifically that it's going to impact along for the ride. It's always a bad idea to just go and present something to any team and say, this is new, this is what it's going to do for you. No, you have to start 10 steps earlier. You kind of have to ask them, what are burning points or pressures within your tasks? What tasks are you struggling with? What tasks are mundane? What do you really hate doing every single day? And what do you love doing every single day? And what solutions can we find for them? And let them come with recommendations. Let them kind of research as well. That needs to happen prior to you recommending something to your employees, because then you've already got buy-in. They've already done some research, so that they're more understanding to the concept. And you need to differentiate that this is what the AI, the machine is going to do, but you're still going to do this. And now we expect you to do that, because now we're going to free up your time. So you're going to add a lot more value. So just as an example, our team, a lot of what we've done 5 years back was Excel-based, because that's where everyone was. And then AI started. And our organization did really, really good when we kind of said, okay, we've got so many tasks and we've got so many pain points with Excel. What of these ones don't we want to do anymore? And what are the solutions? So we started like a collaboration with our AI engineers, kind of at that point in time started to be, or firstly just developers and then moved into AI engineers. What can be done differently? What is pain points within our design process and how can you help us? And that already created so much excitement within our own team because we were part of the process. We could help them build things. We could test whatever they came up with. So it didn't kind of threaten us. It just showed us that there's better ways and we can do different stuff. We can apply our minds better. We can research more. We can do more correlational studies, etc., as opposed to just mapping in Excel. So that was a really beautiful example within our own organization. But I think it's not just introducing something. It's a 10 steps prior to that. And that's kind of how you bring your team along.
Yeah, that's absolutely fantastic advice, and something I'd love to distill out into separate piece of content. Actually, I think that was incredibly cool advice. Any other questions out there before we might wrap this webinar up? Okay, I think we're good. Really grateful for your time, Christine. And as we've already shared on the screen, we will also be sharing the report that you can download and access much more detail that Fuel 50 have created for you. So it's a free PDF download. So we'll share that link on email and on the blog post, which will be accompanying this on-demand video. So thank you so much, Christine. I hope it's nice down in South Africa. It's a bit chilly up in England right now. So
it's beautiful summer weather over here.
It's always nice, and I always take for granted that the world we live in now, that you and I can be having this conversation, feeling very close, but about 6,000 miles apart. So
yeah, exactly. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much, and team. Really appreciate it. Thank you everyone for joining. Thank you.
Thank you. Take care. And thanks to you for attending the webinar, or if you're watching it on demand. Christine was fantastic. Took us through some great insights there. And we will be putting this on demand and sharing that link with you afterwards too. Lots more to come from us. Thrive Thursday, March 13th, our Power Hours kick off. We've got 6 of them starting in April and then through to the end of the year. The summer series, our Global People First Summit, and many more things beside ebooks, podcasts. It's all coming your way. So thanks very much for being part of our community. Good luck with whatever you have going on this week, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.